What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Thursday, July 25th. Wednesday was a pretty good one. We went 4-2 overall, so another winning day. Put it on the board. We started things off a bit slow again. The Cardinals did not show up for us at all. They lost 5-0. We also had Oakland. They got absolutely destroyed by Brown. He looked great out there, and Sears was bad, so an 8-1 loss there for Oakland. But we swept the last four games on the slate, guys. We had the Angels versus Seattle under. That one was good as gold. 2-1 game. Good starts from both Canning and Castillo. We had Baltimore versus Miami. We had the over in that one. We got 9 total runs in that game, so just what we needed, with Miami actually doing most of the heavy lifting. We had the Padres minus 117. That was a blowout 12-3 win. Great spot there for the Padres. Waldron looked fantastic in that game. We also had the over in the Giants-Dodgers game. The Giants went off there in the 8th inning to bring us the win on that one. So another 4-2 day. We will definitely take that for sure. Before we jump into the games, hit that like button, guys. It only takes 1 second and really helps the channel. If you like these videos, go ahead and subscribe. It's free and can notify you about new videos or anytime we go live, something we're thinking about adding in the future. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays in all the major sports. We sent out a premium pick to everyone on the free email list yesterday, and it was a winner on Cleveland, who got the close 2-1 win. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today, and we'll give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. Our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the San Diego Padres going on the road to take on the Washington Nationals. The Padres come into this game fresh off of a blowout win there in game 2 of this series. They pretty much dominated through the first 2 games, winning 4-0 and then 12-3. They've won their last 4 in a row, so things are working out right now for the Padres, who are still 8 games back of the Dodgers there in the NL West, but they're making some headway. They're 4 games above 500 now, and they've been doing this without Fernando Tatis Jr. So yeah, things are pointing up for San Diego right now. They're handing the ball in this game to Dylan Cease, who's 9-8 on the season with a 3.76 ERA. He comes into this game fresh off of that dominant performance there back on the 20th at Cleveland, guys. 7 innings, only a single hit while striking out 10 and walking 1, giving up no runs. In a game we saw the Padres actually shut out the Guardians and win that game 7-0. So they'll definitely take that. Honestly, his last 2 starts have been pretty wild. He's given up 2 hits over his last 2 starts combined. Both of those games shut out wins for the Padres. So yeah, right now, throwing the ball great. The last time he faced the Nationals was another one of these dominant outings, guys. He went 7 innings, gave up 1 hit. He walked 2 and struck out 9 while shutting out the Nationals in that game. Another game that we eventually saw the Padres win, but the bullpen gave up a lot, guys. The Padres eventually won that game 8-5. So a very good start from Cease. Good history against the Nationals, and he's been throwing the ball well lately. So definitely like what we're seeing there in terms of their bullpen, guys. The Padres bullpen has been one of their problem areas this season, and it's a team that's had their struggles overall this year. They haven't been nearly as good as projected, but sitting, in the bottom third of the league with a 4.23 bullpen ERA, that's definitely something that goes on the list as something they could try to improve here at the trade deadline. And yeah, just in general, something that's held them back a little bit. Their offense is coming alive lately, guys. 12, 4, 2, and 7 runs respectively over their last 4 games. That'll definitely work. Obviously, they're not at full strength up there at the plate right now, but over the course of the season, they've been putting up good numbers, guys. They're second in the majors in team batting average, batting .260 as a squad. They're actually 9th in the majors in on-base percentage, so top 10 there as well, getting on base at a .321 clip, and they are 11th in the majors in slugging percentage, but only 13th in the MLB in runs scored. They just kind of struggled to get runs across the plate this season. Maybe not great hitting in the clutch or something like that, but yeah, in general, is this an offense that we're terrified of? I would kind of say no, but I mean, they're hitting the ball well. Coming off a game where they scored 12 runs, they'll definitely take that. So we'll see what they're actually able to put together here in this game going up against the Washington Nationals, who come into this one obviously losers of their first 2 in this series. They swept the Cincinnati Reds coming into this series and were playing great, but that has not translated to success in this series, guys. The Nationals are 47-55 in the year, so a lot of work to do here. They're handing the ball in this game to Patrick Corbin, who's 2-9 this season with a 5.35 ERA. His last time out was a very, very good one of his best starts in recent memory, guys. It was against the Reds back on the 19th. 6 innings, 3 hits, only a single earned run while striking out 6 and walking 0 in a game we eventually saw the Nationals win 8-5. So very, very good stuff there. But I mean, his last time against the Padres, it wasn't terrible. It was at San Diego. He went 7 innings, gave up 5 hits and 3 earned runs. He struck out 5 and walked 0 in that game. So it's not like he has a terrible history against the Padres this season, or at least in his last outing against them. So, we'll look at that as something of a positive, and he was good in his last start. So a couple of positives there. here, but in general, guys, how high are we on this Nationals bullpen? Well, a 4.03 bullpen ERA is not great. This bullpen has shown signs of being good at other points this season. Don't get me wrong, just right now has been a bit questionable, and obviously they're not coming off a great game. I mean, they just had 12 runs scored on this pitching staff. That's not amazing. So a lot could possibly fall on the Nationals' bats in this game, and are they up to the task? Well, they've scored 3, 0, 5, 4, and 8 runs respectively over their last 5 games, but yeah, all those good numbers are coming against the Reds, and so far against the Padres, 3 runs over 2 games in this series. So not necessarily great stuff there. I mean, we see Luis Garcia Jr. leading this team with a 278 batting average, so that's fine, but not exactly alert the press kind of numbers. We've seen good things at times from CJ Abrams this season, but is he a guy that we're like super duper high on? I mean, not really. He's only 23, so like lots of good stuff down the track here for him, but right now I'm just not that excited about this offense, guys. They're 21st in the majors in runs scored, 26th in the majors in slugging percentage, not a lot of good power numbers. They're 20th in the majors in on-base percentage, so just not an offense that I'm very excited about coming into this game. And looking at the numbers for this one, we see the Padres at minus 177. They are steep favorites. We see the Nationals at plus 155. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. The Padres are 26, or maybe it's 27 and 22 now on the road, and Washington is 23 and 26 at home. So yeah, I mean, definitely a trend there pointing towards the Padres. I'm sure that's part of the reason that they're such big favorites in this game. Looking at the over-under for this one, we see some interesting stuff though, guys. The Padres are actually a significant under team when playing on the road. They are 28 and 20 to the under when playing away from home, and Washington is a slight favorite towards the under at home. They're 23, 22, and 3 to the under at home, and obviously not swinging the hottest bats in this game. So looking at the numbers for this one and these two pitchers' history against their respective opponents, I think under 8.5 is very live in this game. I don't think we're going to see a ton of offense. Neither one of these bullpens are incredible, guys. Don't get me wrong, but I think we could see a little bit of a repeat of what we saw in game 1 of this series here in game 3. In terms of a side in this one, I don't know how much I really like either one. Given that both pitchers have positive trends against their respective opponent, maybe you could take a small flyer on the Nationals plus 155 since they're playing at home and, trying to avoid losing their 3rd straight game here to the Padres. But in general, guys, I think the value in this one is on the under and not so much really on that side. Next up, guys, we've got the slumping Baltimore Orioles going on the road to take on the Miami Marlins. Yeah, the Orioles, guys, they have now lost 3 in a row. They lost game 2 of this series at 6-3. Both of these games in this series have been 6-3 games, with the Orioles coming out on the short end both times. Yeah, a little bit rough here, guys. This team is not looking like the squad from early in the season when they were just absolutely killing it. They are 60-41 on the year. They're holding on to that top spot in the AL East, but man, they've got the Yankees only a single game back. Time to turn the switch back on. Baltimore's going to be handing the ball in this game to Corbin Burnes, who's 10-4 this season with a 2.38 ERA. His first outing after the All-Star game, where he looked pretty decent, was against the Texas Rangers. It was at the Rangers, guys. 6 innings, 2 hits, only a single earned run. That was a home run, so that's a little bit unfortunate. He walked 4, so his control wasn't 100% there, but he also struck out 6, and it's a game we saw the Orioles win 9-1. So pretty solid stuff there from Corbin Burnes. He's looked good over the course of the season, absolutely no doubt about that. He's been a lights out pitcher. This will be his first time taking the Marlins though, so no experience against this opponent, which honestly I don't think is a terrible thing for him. I mean, I'm expecting pretty good stuff from him out there on the mound, generally speaking. What can we expect from this Baltimore Orioles bullpen? Well, guys, it hasn't been looking too hot lately. They're sitting with a 3.72 bullpen ERA, which obviously has them in the top half of the majors. But guys, is this bullpen really pitching like a top 10 bullpen anymore? Doesn't feel like it to me. This bullpen is definitely a question mark for me in this situation. And yeah, I think the Orioles are going to need Burnes to go deep into this game if they want to find success, even going up against a team as weak as the Marlins. And another problem for the Orioles right now, where has the offense gone? They've scored 3, 3, and 2 runs respectively over their last 3 games. This was supposed to be, and at different points this season absolutely was, the best offense in Major League Baseball. They're down to 4th in the majors in runs scored. They're still 1st in the majors in slugging percentage, but guys, that doesn't do you a whole lot of good. If you're scoring 3 runs a game, that's not going to get the job done. I don't care if they're all 3 solo home runs. Like, that's going to look really cool. There's going to be 3 exciting moments in that game, but you are probably not going to come away with that win. I mean, 7th in the majors in batting average, 1st in the majors in slugging percentage, and 12th in the majors in on-base percentage. Like, this is a very good hitting team. They're not dealing with like a ton of injuries or anything like that. So yeah, just a little bit of a all-star break hangover, it feels like to me, and they need to get back on track here in a pretty big way. And they're going up against a team that I kind of thought they would use as a get-right spot, but that's not what's happened. They're going up against the Marlins, who have won 2 in a row now. They're 37-65 on the year, so not exactly killing it. They're going to be handing the ball in this game to Rodri Munoz, who's 1-5 this season with a 5.14 ERA. He is coming off a very good start back on the 20th against the Mets, guys. He went 5 innings, gave up 3 hits, only a single earned run, while striking out 5 and walking 3 in a game we eventually saw the Marlins lose 1-0. So yeah, not his fault there. It was a good bounce back from him after getting absolutely shelled by the Houston Astros. We've seen a pretty mixed bag from him over his last 5 starts, to be honest. And yeah, this is a pretty big task, a pretty tall task to ask of him to go up against an Orioles offense. Even if they're slumping a little bit here, this is a team that can absolutely crush every mistake right out of the ballpark. So we'll see if that ends up happening. If you wanted to take a look at some home run props in this game, I could definitely get behind it. Even though Munoz isn't necessarily a guy that gives up a ton of home runs, Baltimore is definitely feeling a little bit due to me. And yeah, guys, how high are we on the Marlins bullpen? I mean, they haven't been terrible in this series, and they haven't been terrible lately. I mean, over the course of the season, they're about league average with a 3.81 bullpen ERA. I actually think that's a shade better than MLB average. So good things, something, positive to build around, I guess, for a team that doesn't have a whole lot of positives right now. And yeah, the offense, guys, they've scored 6, 6, 4, 4, and 0 runs respectively over their last few games. This is not a great offensive team. Don't get me wrong. They are 29th in the majors in runs scored for a reason. They are also second to last in slugging percentage and second to last in on-base percentage. They're getting on base at a 287 clip, guys. This is not a great offense, but over the last couple games, they've looked pretty good. We saw Chisholm hit that tie-breaking 2-run double in the 7th to help them get that 6-3 win there in Game 2. So definitely some positives for this offense at the moment, but over the course of this season, they haven't been great, and how great are they going to be going up against somebody as good as Corbin Burnes? So some definite question marks there, and looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Orioles as massive favorites. We've got Baltimore at -270. We've got the Marlins at +230. We've got over-under showing out there of 7.5 or 8. Baltimore is 30-18 on the road. That's an MLB best road mark. Miami is 21-33 at home, so obviously not amazing. We do see both of these teams showing severe, significant trends towards the over here. Baltimore 28-17-3 to the over on the road. Miami is 36-16-2 to the over at home. That is an MLB best to the over at home number. So yeah, guys, definitely, even with Burnes out there on the mound, I've got to take a look at that over 7.5. If we see the Orioles bats come back alive in this game, they could score 8 runs all on their own. So I think over 7.5 is very, very live in this game. To be honest, I don't see a ton of value on taking the Orioles as such a massive favorite. Even if you take a -1.5, it is not a very appealing price. I mean, you've pretty much got to take a -2.5. I'm not too interested in that. You take a -1.5, it's still -150. Probably going to stay away from the side on this game, guys, and just go ahead and bet that over 7.5 or even over 8. I think we're going to see some offense in this game, and even when Burnes comes out of this one, even if he's like lights out through the first 6 or maybe 7 innings, I still think we're going to see the Marlins get on the board with a run or two against that struggling Orioles bullpen. So that could be all it takes, guys. Over is the play in this game. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Detroit Tigers going on the road to take on the Cleveland Guardians. The Tigers come into this game fresh off of back-to-back losses. They've now lost 2 in a row after winning Game 1 of this series. It's been a pretty low-scoring series overall. I mean, not crazy low, but Game 3 was a 2-1 loss for the Tigers, who, yeah, at 50-53 on the season, have a lot of work to do. They don't have a confirmed starter yet for this game, so we don't know who they're actually going to be running out there on the mound to start things up. And if it ends up being a bullpen start from the Tigers, we have some concerns. They're in the bottom half of the majors with a 4.13 bullpen ERA, so that could be very, very problematic. Over the course of the season, their starting pitching has been solid. They're 6th in the majors in quality starts. They are only 18th in the majors in batting average against, but that's a stat that takes all the starting pitcher, or not all the starting pitchers, all the pitching, the whole pitching staff in general into account, so that's not super encouraging, but also not a complete disaster. So yeah, a little bit of lack of clarity here in terms of the Tigers pitching situation for this game. So don't forget to check back in that pinned comment and do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button when you're checking that and see whether or not, if this ends up in there, who we end up with on the mound for the Tigers. We already talked about their bullpen, so we're not going to cover that again. We're going to dive right into how their offense is looking. And guys, no major surprise here. They're having a bit of a problem. I mean, they've scored 2 and 4 runs respectively over their last 2 games. They did win 8-2 there in Game 1, so this is an offense that can put up some numbers, but man, it just doesn't feel like you can count on it. I mean, they're 15th in the majors in runs scored, but 27th in the majors in team batting average, guys. that is problematic. That is definitely problematic. Getting on base at a 299 clip, not going to get the job done. Usually, they're below league average in slugging percentage. They're way below league average in team batting average. So we've got some question marks about how this offense is going to look in this game. And they're going up against the Cleveland Guardians, who need to be winning some games. I mean, they are 61-40 on the season, but they've only got a 5-game lead there on Minnesota there in the AL Central. So going to be looking to win some games here. They've bounced back after losing 3 in a row to now win 2 in a row. They're handing the ball in this game to Gavin Williams, who's 0-2 on the season with a 4.50 ERA. He's coming into this game fresh off of a short and problematic outing there against the Padres, guys. 3 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs in a game we eventually saw Cleveland lose 7-0. Cleveland is also only 1-3 over his 4 starts this season. He's got to start against the Tigers back on the 8th of July, where he was actually very good. He went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 4 hits and no runs while striking out 5 and walking 1. That was a game we eventually saw Cleveland lose 1-0, so that had to feel pretty bad for him. But generally speaking, he's thrown the ball a bit better. I mean, obviously his last start wasn't that good against the Padres, but the Tigers are not as good of a hitting team as the Padres. So we'll see what we get out there from Gavin Williams. Obviously, we are not worried about what we're going to see from the Cleveland Guardians bullpen, guys. They've been the best bullpen in the majors basically all season long. A 2.55 bullpen ERA is absolutely crazy stuff. So if Williams can hand the bullpen a lead, I think we can pretty much count on them to lock things down the rest of the way. The question is the offense going to pick up some of the slack here? I mean, only scoring 2 runs in their last game thanks to Naylor. I mean, a solo home run, and yeah, so good stuff there, but yeah, a total of 9 runs over 3 games in the series, not usually going to get the job done. We're seeing Steven Kwan have a little bit of a hard time lately. Jose Ramirez is trying to carry the load. This team is 12th in the majors in runs scored and 15th in the majors in batting average, batting 243 as a team. So yeah, we've got some question marks about, the kind of offensive production we can count on here. It's a little bit tough. We don't know what starting pitcher they're going to be going up against, but if they're going up against the Tigers bullpen a whole bunch, I think they would feel pretty good about their chances there. So yeah, looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Tigers at plus 150. We see the Guardians at minus 178. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game. The Tigers are 26-29 on the road. Cleveland is 33-14 at home. A very, very good home team. In terms of the over-under, we do see both teams showing pretty significant trends towards the over in this situation. I mean, Detroit is 31-22-2 to the over on the road. Cleveland is 26-18-3 to the over at home. We have an inexperienced young 24-year-old starter going out there for Cleveland and probably a bullpen start coming up from the Tigers. So yeah, guys, I think over 8 is very much in play in this game. If you wanted to lean into the Gavin Williams having good history here against the Tigers, you could maybe take a look at taking Cleveland minus 1.5. If you do that, you can get them at plus 128, which seems fairly appealing. So yeah, we could maybe mix that one in there, but I think the value in this game is probably the over 8, or maybe just don't get greedy and just take the Guardians to win this game straight up, since their offense hasn't been looking amazing. But yeah, I think this could be a bust out spot for both of these offenses, and especially since they're playing a day game, a lot of weird things can happen. Moving right along here, guys, we've got the Chicago White Sox going on the road to take on the Texas Rangers. The White Sox and Rangers are currently playing right now. We've got the Rangers up 5-2 there in the bottom of the 8th inning, so they've got to be feeling pretty good about their chances to win this game. Yeah, the White Sox have not been having a great time lately. They are on a 9, looking like it's going to be 10-game losing streak. They're handing the ball in this game to Jonathan Cannon, who's 1-4 on the season with a 4.58 ERA. Having such an amazing name doesn't always guarantee success. We've seen this young guy fade a bit here down the stretch in the season, which not a huge shocker when you see a 24-year-old kind of stop throwing the ball great when he's been up in the majors for, quite a while now. How many starts has he made now? Yeah, a whole bunch, guys. He's been up in the majors since early June, and he's been pretty much making his scheduled start every time, it looks like. So yeah, maybe some arm fatigue setting in here. We'll have to wait and see how he does, but he's had some good outings, don't get me wrong. His last time out was on the 20th at the Royals, which is a tough place to pitch. He went 6 innings, gave up 8 hits and 4 earned runs. He's given up 4 earned runs in each of his last 2 outings, so yeah, a little bit problematic. I mean, giving up 4 earned runs on 7 hits over 6 innings to the Pirates, not exactly the best stuff. So yeah, maybe we're seeing Jonathan Cannon fade here a little bit, but definitely some solid hope for the future here for the White Sox in terms of their, young starting pitching staff. He hasn't faced the Rangers yet this season, but we got to look at this bullpen for the White Sox, guys, and it's a problem. A 4.68 bullpen ERA has them 3rd to last there in the majors. So not a very good bullpen. No major surprise there. I know, I'm sure everybody at this point knows the White Sox bullpen, not too great. Starting pitching okay, but bullpen not so good. So yeah, I mean, that leaves a lot of pressure on the White Sox bats in this game, and yeah, that's not a team that can hit the ball. Just not at all, guys. They are dead last in the majors in runs scored. They're 2nd to last in the majors, batting .218 as a team. That is, That's real bad, guys. That's not good. Embarrassing. Their on-base percentage, 279. That is also embarrassing and also dead last in the majors. And their team slugging percentage, guys, dead last as well. A 345 team slugging percentage. Pretty weak stuff. They've only scored, 2 runs in their current game and 2 runs in the game before that. 3 the game before that. Just not a team you can count on to put up very much offense. And they're taking on the Texas Rangers, who come into this game. They're playing rather well. I mean, helps a lot to get to play against the Chicago White Sox. That makes everything look a little bit better. But at 49-52 on the year, they've got work to do for sure. They're going to be hitting the ball to Max Scherzer, who they're hoping can, be part of them rebuilding this season, getting back after it, having a chance to make it into the playoffs and stuff like that down the stretch. But he's 1-3 this year with a 3.99 ERA. His last time out was against the Baltimore Orioles, and it did not go well, guys. Only 2 innings of work, 5 hits, 4 earned runs in that game. Not good stuff out there. Definitely have some question marks about Scherzer. I mean, he hasn't had a great time against the Orioles in his 2 starts against them this season, but he's going up against the White Sox, guys. This is a great get-right spot for Scherzer. He could throw any kind of junk out there, and it seems like he could definitely get it past a team like the White Sox. So, yeah, things looking pretty good for Scherzer. There's a reason the Rangers are such huge favorites in this game. The Rangers' bullpen has been looking better in this series, but over the course of the season, they're not amazing, guys. A 4.36 bullpen ERA has them in the bottom 6 or 7 there in the majors. So that's a concern. Is it a concern going up against a team like the Chicago White Sox? I would say it's a much less of a concern at a minimum. So, yeah, not too worried about the bullpen in this game. The question is, are the Rangers going to be able to hit the ball? I mean, they've been hitting the ball well this series, but this season overall has been questionable. They've scored at least 6 runs in their current game, 3 the game before that, 4 the game before that. So, nothing amazing. These have actually been pretty close games here against the White Sox, which is not what you're hoping for as a Rangers fan or as a Rangers player. They're 17th in the majors in runs scored this season, 23rd in the majors in slugging percentage, so that's a little bit questionable. Just seems like this is overall basically just a below average offense. So, we'll see what they can do here against Jonathan Cannon, who's been having his issues, and a weak White Sox bullpen. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, the odds makers definitely think the Rangers are going to be just fine. We've got the White Sox at plus 220. We've got the Rangers at minus 240. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game. The White Sox are 10-42 on the road. That's an MLB worst road record. Obviously, you would hope it would be 10 wins over 52, going to be 53 games now is pretty weak stuff. In terms of the over-under for this game, though, we do see that Texas, they are an MLB best to the under at home. They are 33-15-2 to the under at home. We got an over-under of 8 in this game. I wish I trusted Jonathan Cannon a little bit more. If we did, we would really like that under 8. But also Scherzer's has problems, and the White Sox have random days where they'll hit the ball well. In general, in this game, guys, it might be a spot to look at the Rangers minus 1.5. They are 27-23 at home. If you take a minus 1.5, you can get them at minus 117, minus 120 seems more reasonable. Yeah, that seems a bit rough to me as well. In general, in this game, guys, I'm going to be leaning towards under 8. Overall, it seems like a bit of a weird spot, though. I mean, we've got 2 pitchers out there that have been struggling a bit. Obviously, I'm trusting Scherzer to have a better outing a lot more than I'm trusting Jonathan Cannon. So, like I said, you wanted to throw that minus 1.5 in there. I guess I could get behind that, but my best lean in this game is going to be that under 8. But overall, not a spot that I'm super interested in. Next on the docket, we've got the Tampa Bay Rays going on the road to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. The Rays come into this game fresh off of a 6-3 loss there in Game 2 of this series. That can't feel great. I mean, the Rays, though, they're 51-51 on the season. They're trying to do something positive here now after the All-Star break. They're handing the ball to Taj Bradley in this one. He's 5-4 on the year with a 2.63 ERA. He looked fantastic in his last start. It was at the Yankees. He went 7 innings, gave up 1 hit and no runs while striking out 5 and walking 2. It's the second straight outing that he's had where he's gone 7 innings and not given up any runs. The other one was against Cleveland right before the All-Star break there, so he has just been looking fantastic as of late. Really nothing negative for me to say here about Taj Bradley. He's been doing great against good teams, great against bad teams. Seems like you can pretty much just lock this guy in to throw the ball pretty well out there right now. I mean, a 5-4 record, a 2.63 ERA, not a big shock to see him look good out there on the mound. The problem is what's going to happen after he has to hand the ball off to that bullpen, which is 5th worst in the majors with a 4.39 bullpen ERA. That is not amazing. Definitely leaves some significant question marks out there. yeah, I mean, that's a big reason why they lost there in game 2 of this series. Game 1, they looked okay, so, you never really know what you're going to get from them. Hopefully we could see a repeat of that, what they did in game 1 here in game 3, but it's been a bit rough for that bullpen, and the offense hasn't exactly been killing it, guys. They've scored 3, 4, 1, and 6 runs respectively over their last few games. They're 27th in the majors in runs scored, 25th in the majors in slugging percentage. They're only batting .234 as a team. Like, this just isn't a squad that's loaded with a lot of good hitters. They are MLB average in terms of on-base percentage, so I suppose that's something, but generally speaking, just not an offense that I think is very, very good, and they're going to need to score some runs here going up against the Toronto Blue Jays, who have now won 2 out of their last 3. They're only 46 and 55 on the year. A lot of talk about how they could definitely be sellers here at the All-Star, or at the trade deadline, but we'll see what actually happens. They're handing the ball in this game to Chris Bassett, who's 8 and 8 on the year with a 3.71 ERA. He's been throwing the ball pretty well for a floundering team. His last time out didn't fill me with tons of optimism. I mean, going up against the Tigers, giving up 5 earned runs and 2 home runs on 7 hits over 6 2/3 innings. Not amazing stuff. He did strike out 6 and only walk 1. He's a guy that can have some control issues, but generally speaking, I mean, he's looked decent this season, I guess I'll give him. He didn't look very good out of the gate. That is absolutely for sure. So we'll see how he looks in this one. I mean, the last time he faced Tampa Bay was back on May 17th. 5 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs. He gave a home run in that one. In a game, we eventually saw the Blue Jays lose 4-3. So, not amazing stuff in that one. He also didn't look amazing against them in his season opener back in March. So, yeah, I mean, that's ancient history. Both of those are pretty much ancient history. So we'll see if they really have any bearing on this game. But overall, I feel okay about Bassett, but not great. And looking at the Blue Jays bullpen, it's right down there with the Tampa Bay Rays. Actually worse, guys. A 4.83 bullpen ERA is second worst in the majors. So unless the bullpen can get way better and this offense can get way better, not a lot of good things coming down the pike for the Blue Jays, who, yeah, I mean, the offense, they've scored 6, 2, 5, and 3 runs respectively over their last few games. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is leading them in basically every major hitting category, and it's not particularly close. They're 26th in the majors in runs scored. They are 21st in the majors in slugging percentage. They're only batting .236 as a team. Their on-base percentage is .310, which is 16th in the majors. But yeah, guys, just not a lot of amazing stuff to say about an offense that really needs Guerrero Jr. to hit a home run in the game for them to have a chance. It's kind of what it feels like to me at this point. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the odds makers basically have it as a coin flip. We've got the Rays at -108, the Blue Jays at -105. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game. Tampa Bay is 24 and 23 on the road. We see they're a 50-50 over-under team on the road. Toronto is 22 and 27 at home, so not a very good home team, and they're showing a slight trend towards the over at home. Guys, in this game, I think we're going to be back on the Tampa Bay Rays -108. I think they're in a very good spot to win this game. They've got a great starter out there on the mound. I don't think he's going to have any trouble against the Toronto Blue Jays. Bassett hasn't been great against Tampa Bay, so that's a bit of a concern. And at this very low price, I think taking Tampa Bay, which is not a terrible road team, on the road in this spot seems very reasonable to me. This has a great chance to end up in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we're looking at Game 4 of this series with the San Francisco Giants going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Giants are going to be handing the ball to Logan Webb in this one. He's 7 and 8 on the season with a 3.59 ERA. His last time out was against the Colorado Rockies. It was at Coors Field, and he did not have a good time, guys. He went 6 innings, gave up 8 hits, and 4 earned runs. He walked 4 in that game, just didn't have the best control. He gave up 1 home run. In general, he's been a good pitcher this season. I mean, there's a reason he was out there in the All-Star game. He did get shelled in the All-Star game, though, but generally speaking, he's been good this year. The last time he faced the Dodgers, he was also very good. 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs in a game the Giants won 5-3, and that was back on June 28th. So, a little while ago, but not that long ago that it's not at least a little bit relevant. So, yeah, expecting relatively decent things from Logan Webb in this game. And what are we expecting from that Giants bullpen, though, guys? Not a lot of good stuff. A 4.37 bullpen ERA has them in the bottom 6 in the majors. That is a problem, guys. Just not a very good bullpen. It's in part of the reason this team hasn't reached the level that they want to be this season. And yeah, I mean, they're down there pretty close to the bottom in the NL West. The only team they're better than in the NL West is the Rockies, which, yeah, not a super high bar. And part of that problem has been their offense, which has not been hitting the ball particularly well lately for quite some time. I would say over their last 6 or 7 games, it's definitely been a struggle. They're 16th in the majors in runs scored, 19th in the majors in slugging percentage. And guys, as I read off these numbers, keep in mind, these are all numbers that are currently trending downwards. They're not swinging the hottest bats right now. I mean, batting .241 as a team, that's not usually going to get the job done. So, yeah, I mean, they're going to have to figure something out here going up against the Dodgers, who come into this game looking pretty good. They're easily a top atop the NL West there. They're handing the ball in a very excited, I'm sure, fashion here to Clayton Kershaw, who comes into this game making his season debut, obviously coming off of injury. We'll see what we get from him. I mean, I would assume he's going to be on some sort of pitch count. I don't think he'll be going super deep into this game. Even if he's having lots of success, the goal is to get him through this start healthy and have him ready for the rest of the season, and ideally have him peaking at the right time in the postseason. Somewhere he's had a very, very weird career. But regardless, Kershaw, a great pitcher, lots of history over his career against the Giants. I think we can throw most of that out of the window for this game, though, since it's going to be his first start back from, not pitching for quite some time. So I don't think we're going to see Kershaw out there a ton in this game. What that will lead to is a heavy dose of that Dodgers bullpen, which has been very good this season, clinging to a top 5 spot in the MLB with a 3.45 bullpen ERA. Nothing wrong with that. This is a good pitching team, guys, generally speaking. They've dealt with some injuries, but the bullpen is still very, very good. And yeah, if the bullpen looks good and we can get some hits, this Dodgers team is excellent, guys. We see Ohtani easily leading the way here. 30 home runs, batting .314 on the season. Like, this dude is an absolute monster, and over the course of the season, everybody's getting a chance to forget that this dude can freaking pitch too. Like, just absolute insanity out there. The Dodgers are second in the majors in runs scored, 5th in the majors in team batting average, batting .254 as a team. They're the top team in the MLB in terms of on-base percentage, and like, things don't just end here with Ohtani in this lineup. I mean, we've got Freddie Freeman, we've got Hernandez in there. We're going to see Mookie Betts out there again at some point. So yeah, just a lot of positives for this offense that's been putting up relatively good numbers here lately. Maybe not crazy huge numbers, but some pretty decent stuff. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Giants at +120, the Dodgers at -137. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. The Giants are only 20-31 on the road this season. That is not great. The Dodgers are 33-18 at home, so that's pretty nice. We also see both teams showing pretty strong trends here towards the over. I mean, San Francisco 28-21-2 to the over on the road. The Dodgers 28-22-1 to the over at home. So yeah, I think there's a decent chance for some offense in this game, although I am expecting pretty good stuff from Logan Webb, and I don't think I'm expecting a disaster here from Kershaw. I don't think they'd be bringing him back if he wasn't at least fairly ready, and if he gets in trouble, there's no reason to leave him out there to get shelled, guys. You just bring in that Dodgers bullpen, and they should be able to clean up the mess. So in general in this game, probably staying away from the over in this one. I think I'm leaning more towards taking a flyer on the Giants +120. I mean, Logan Webb's a good pitcher. He's got good history here against the Dodgers. If we see the Dodgers are going for the sweep here, or going for, what would be their 4th straight win in this series, I do think there's a very reasonable, chance that we're going to be on the Giants +120. I don't think they're going to get swept against their rivals in this one, and I expect Logan Webb to have a pretty good outing, and Kershaw, pretty much up in the air here coming off of an injury. Next up, guys, we've got the Atlanta Braves going on the road to take on the New York Mets. The Braves come into this game fresh off of a very rain-altered series there against Cincinnati Reds. The Braves are having a rough time. They've lost their last 4 in a row. They're 54-46 on the year, so well down there in second place behind the Phillies in the NL East. They're handing the ball to Chris Sale in this game, hoping that he can get them back on track, which he's been very good at doing this season. It's got to be a little bit weird. The last time he pitched was back on the 14th, so it's going to have been 10-11 days since the last time he was on the mound, thanks to all the weirdness there in that Red series and the All-Star break and all that. So he's going to be well rested. Will he be rusty for this start? I guess we're just going to have to wait and see how he looks out there. I mean, over the course of the season, obviously the dude has been absolutely crazy out there. I mean, a crazy record, crazy ERA, just looking fantastic. He hasn't faced the Mets yet this season, so we'll see how he does in this specific matchup, but I think you're kind of crazy to ever expect Sale to be anything but good out there on the mound. So I think the Braves feel pretty good about the start of their running out there, and I think they've got every reason in the world to feel good about this bullpen as well, guys. A 2.95 bullpen ERA is absolutely fantastic. Obviously, that's no big shock. They've been one of the best 2 bullpens in Major League Baseball all season long. The question right now for this team is, where is the offense, guys? They've scored 4, 1, 2, and 5 runs respectively over their last few games, all of which have been losses. 4 losses in a row. That is not great. This team really needs Marcell Ozuna to kill it for them to be successful in offense, and that isn't going to happen every night, guys. This is baseball. Hitting a round ball with a round stick is pretty freaking hard. The Braves are 22nd in the majors in runs scored, 23rd in the majors in on-base percentage, getting on base at only a .303 clip. They're 17th in the majors in batting average, so I guess that's nice, but yeah, not a ton of positives to report here for this offense, so it's definitely something that's holding this team back right now. They're a great pitching team, but where is the hitting coming from? They're taking on the New York Mets, who come into this game playing well again. They've won 3 in a row and 3 of their last 4 out of their last 5 overall. They just ended up winning 2 in a row against the Yankees again, just killing it there against their crosstown rivals, so that's got to feel pretty good. The Mets are 53-48 on the season, which is great considering where they were early in the year. They're handing the ball in this one to Luis Severino, who's 7-3 this season with a 3.58 ERA. He comes in this game fresh off of a dominant performance in his first start since the All-Star break, guys. He went into Miami and just shut down the Marlins. 6 innings, 2 hits, 7 strikeouts, 3 walks, and no runs. In a game, we eventually saw the Mets win 1-0. So yeah, the bats were not there for him, but it did not matter in that game. Severino was just fantastic. In his one start against Atlanta this season, he went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits, and 2 earned runs. In a game, we eventually saw the Mets win back in May. They won that one 4-3. So yeah, he looked good in that one. So a little bit of positive history there, although maybe not quite ancient, but some pretty old history. Looking at the Mets bullpen, it's been a problem generally speaking this season, but it's trending in the right direction, down to a 4.14 bullpen ERA. Maybe they would like to get that a little bit lower, see if they get slightly above MLB average instead of slightly below, but not a bullpen that I really think is a massive concern, especially against the light-hitting Atlanta Braves. The Mets bats have come alive as well. They scored 12 runs in the last game at Yankee Stadium, guys, hitting 5 home runs in that one. Obviously, that's not the norm. They've scored 12, 3, 6, 2, and 1 run, respectively, over their last few games. They're 8th in the majors in runs scored and 11th in the majors in batting average. 8th in the majors getting on base at a 322 clip, but are you really going to be able to maintain those kind of numbers going up against one of the best starters in the MLB? Seems a little bit problematic to me. And I mean, this hasn't been a Mets offense that I've really felt like I could trust this season. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Braves at -130. That seems like a very reasonable price with Sale on the mound. We see the Mets at +110, which kind of, also seems pretty good with Severino out there on the mound as well. But we see an over-under in this game of 7.5. I kind of expected to see this number at 7, guys. I mean, Atlanta, not a dominant road team or anything like that, but they are 27-18-4 to the under on the road. We see the Mets, not a dominant home team either, but they're slightly an under team at home, and I know they're coming off a huge offensive performance, so it seems like a bit of a letdown spot, especially since you're about to go up against Chris Sale. So guys, generally speaking in this game, I don't have a huge lean on the side, maybe a slight lean towards the Braves -130 with the Mets in a letdown spot, but I really like under 7.5. I think we're going to see very, very little offense in this game. It is a night game, it's not a day game, so that takes a little bit of the weirdness out of it. So yeah, go ahead and give me the under in this one, maybe a slight lean towards the Braves, but under 7.5 looks pretty good to me. Last but not least, guys, we've got the Oakland A's going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Angels. We saw the A's take the 8-1 loss there in Game 3 of their series at Houston, or at home against Houston, so that wasn't great. Now they got to go on the road and take on the Angels, a team they did have some recent success against. At 41-63 in the year, the Athletics not really having a season they want to remember. They're handing the ball in this game to Mitch Spence, who's 6-6 on the year with a 4.67 ERA. His last time out on the mound was against the Angels. He went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 5 hits and 2 earned runs in a game we eventually saw the Oakland A's win 8-2. This guy has pitched against the Angels 3 times over his last 5 starts. He's looked very, very good in the last 2. The first one was a big problem, guys. He got slaughtered out there, 8 hits, 6 earned runs over 5 1/3. But yeah, back on the 2nd of July and the 20th of July, lights out against the Angels. So they'll definitely take that. I mean, I think they'll also take where their bullpen is at right now. It's better than I would have ever expected to see this season. Top 10 in the majors with a 3.64 bullpen ERA is very, very respectable, especially for a team that's, not exactly tabbed to be amazing this season. The offense comes and goes a little bit, but they've been hitting the ball better lately. Obviously, they're coming off a game where they only scored one run, but they've scored 1, 8, 4, 5, 8, 13, and 18 runs, respectively, over their last few games. So I'm not ready to say these bats are cooled off yet. They're up to 18th in the majors in runs scored and 16th in the majors in slugging percentage. So definitely have some positive things to say about the way this team is swinging their bats right now. I mean, Brent Rooker, definitely a monster out there, batting nearly 290 with 23 home runs on the year. This guy can swing the bat, this offense in general, hitting the ball pretty well right now, and they're hoping they can keep that going up against the Angels, who come into this game fresh off of a sweep there of the Seattle Mariners. But yeah, it's going to take a little bit more than that. I mean, this team is 45-57 on the year. They just got very bad news about Mike Trout having to leave that rehab assignment. He's going to get his knee reevaluated. So to be quite honest, guys, I think it's an underdog that we'll see him back on the field this season. There's just no reason to rush it. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But they're handing the ball in this game to Kenny Rosenberg, who is sporting a 6.30 ERA this season. His last time out was at Oakland. He went 4 innings, gave up 4 hits, and a single earned run in a game we eventually saw the Angels lose 8-2. And yeah, neither one of his 2 outings this season have really filled me with a ton of confidence. I mean, this guy, not somebody we're super impressed with, only his 2nd start of the year, and so far not throwing the ball too well. And Clearly, we're not going to be impressed with this Angels bullpen, guys. They are 4th worst in the majors, a 4.50 bullpen ERA. Very, very problematic stuff there. So lots and lots of question marks across the board for me about this Angels pitching staff, especially in this game. And can the offense really carry them? Well, in a series against the Seattle Mariners, which an impressive sweep, sweeping the Mariners in Seattle, they won 2-1, 5-1, and 3-1. So not exactly scoring a ton of runs. And against Oakland, they didn't score a ton of runs in that series. So yeah, I don't really feel great about this offense. They've been finding a way to manufacture runs, don't get me wrong. So I'm not feeling, like death knells for them or anything like that, but not a scary offense. 25th in the majors in runs scored, 24th in the majors in on base percentage. They're only slugging 378. That's not great. Their batting average as a team is 234. Like, big question marks for me about how much offense this team is going to be able to produce against a pitcher that they're very familiar with, but has also had a lot of success against them. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Oakland A's at -110. We see the Angels at -102. We've got an over-under in this game of 9. That's a little bit crazy. I mean, that's a pretty big number. So, I mean, I guess they're harking back to the scoring that went on in the series that just happened at Oakland between these two teams, which there's plenty of offense in that one, but I don't think we're too interested in the over-under in this game, guys. We see mixed trends for these two teams towards the over-under, but Oakland, despite the fact being they're only 15-36 on the road, I do think there's a decent chance we could see them win this game. I mean, his starts at home for Mitch Spence were very good against the Angels, and his road start was very bad, so maybe we'll see him get shelled again on the road. This game, honestly, is a little bit tough to figure out, but I also definitely think we could see the A's go off for a ton of offense again in this game. So I'm going to be leaning towards Oakland -110. I don't know if this is going to end up in the pinned comment. I would say it's got maybe an outside chance, but yeah, I think we're going to see another good game from Oakland. The question mark for this one, for me, is whether or not Mitch Spence can pitch well on the road. That's all the games we have today on this short Thursday slate, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.